baseball-sized hail, tornadoes, 75-mile-per-hour winds, all of that this afternoon across 40 million people. And then 2 to 4 more storm systems lined up in the first 7 days of April alone. This is the storm train.
But here's the thing, and I want you to sit with this for a second. The April setup is actually the part that has forecasters more concerned than what's coming today. We'll get to that. But first, let's make sure you get through today in one piece. Today's storm carries a level 2 severe weather risk. That's a slight risk, covering Detroit, Columbus, Indianapolis, and Springfield, Illinois. And it already has a significant flag attached to it. That significant flag is not routine. It means forecasters specifically expect hail larger than 2 inches in diameter, baseball-sized, enough to punch straight through a car roof. On top of that, wind gust hitting 60, 65, even 75 miles per hour. And a real tornado risk, 5% within the brown zone, 2% across the wider green area. Spread across 40 million people, even small percentages are serious. Here's what makes today even more serious than the numbers suggest. The storm energy forecast jumped overnight from modest levels all the way up to 2,000 to 3,000 units over eastern Illinois, Indiana, and southern Michigan. That's a big upward trend in just 24 hours. It tells us the atmosphere today has significantly more fuel than anyone was expecting even yesterday morning. These storms are going to be well fed. And there's one more layer to this that really matters. This exact region, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, southern Michigan, just got hit by significant severe weather 2 weeks ago. Some of those communities are still cleaning up right now. Homes with tarps still on the roof. Trees still leaning on fences. Families still waiting on insurance adjusters to come out. And today, another round is heading at those same zip codes. If your home is already damaged, your urgency today needs to be higher. Full stop. All right, here is the timing hour by hour so you can plan your entire day around it. Morning, quiet. Some passing showers, nothing severe. This is your window to get things done and get yourself in position. Noon to 1 p.m., activity starts building in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Still not severe yet, but the atmosphere is loading up. Keep one eye on your phone alerts from here on out. 3 p.m., this is when it gets real. Storms start firing right around Chicago. If they can hold together as discrete supercells in those first hours, baseball-sized hail becomes genuinely likely. 4 to 5 p.m., multiple supercell storms tracking northwest to southeast. Fort Wayne, South Bend, northern Indiana, you are right in the crosshairs during this window. Large hail and tornado risk both elevated here. 5 p.m., southern Michigan starts lighting up. Kalamazoo, Jackson, Lansing, watch closely. And Detroit, even though you're on the northern edge, the threat has crept further north than originally forecast. Don't assume you're safe. 6 to 7 p.m., storms start clustering into a line. When that happens, the tornado threat dips somewhat, but the damaging wind threat goes straight up. Toledo, Bowling Green, this is your window. Stay indoors. 8 to 9 p.m., the storm line enters Ohio from the northwest. Heavy rain, destructive winds, embedded tornado risk still possible. Storms cross Lake Erie and slam Cleveland around 9 to 10 p.m. Columbus, Cincinnati, you're getting the southern flank through this same window. Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, western New York, you're getting the tail end late tonight. Not the core threat, but storms that cross Lake Erie can surprise you. Keep your alerts on through midnight. No exceptions. By 11 p.m., the severe threat drops off significantly. What's left after midnight is heavy rain and thunder, not tornadoes. The dangerous window is this afternoon and evening. That's when you need to be paying full attention. One thing worth knowing about today's timing, and this is actually some good news buried in all of it, the main tornado window falls during daylight hours. Nighttime tornadoes are the ones that kill the most people. When it's dark, you can't see the funnel. You can't see the debris. You can't see it coming. People are asleep and warnings go unheard. The fact that today's peak threat is in daylight, use that window wisely. So here's what you do right now. Not at 3 p.m., right now. Charge your phone and your backup battery all the way up, full. Get a weather alert app running with the sound on. Know exactly where your shelter spot is before the first storm fires up. Basement. That's your best option. Hands down, no question. No basement, interior room, lowest floor, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Every window in the house behind you. Get there when hail starts, not after. Large hail coming down hard on your roof is nature telling you something worse is right behind it. That is your cue to move. Not to look outside, not to film it, to move right then. And if you have a parent, a grandparent, an elderly neighbor who lives alone, make that phone call this morning, not tonight. A quick call before noon could genuinely be the most important thing you do today. All right, now, here is the part I mentioned at the top that forecasters are actually more worried about than today. Because today is serious. But today is just the first train on the track. The storm train does not stop after tonight. Friday, the cold front pushes eastward. Lingering rain and embedded storms for the Ohio Valley and Northeast. A low-end severe risk still possible for eastern Virginia and the Carolinas, mainly hail and wind, even after today's system clears. But here's the good news everyone actually needs to hear. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday, looks quiet and genuinely beautiful across most of the country. High pressure builds, clear skies, calm air. Get outside. Temperatures drop 20 to 30 degrees from midweek levels. Some areas will run 15 to 20 degrees below average for late March. After the heat and the storms of this week, that cool air is going to feel like someone finally opened a window. Enjoy that weekend. Seriously, go for a walk. Plan the cookout. Call the people you've been meaning to call. But while you're doing it, know that Monday morning is when the next train starts pulling out of the station. Monday, March 31st into Tuesday, April 1st, models are already tracking a 998 millibar low shooting across the Dakotas by Monday morning. That is a strong storm system. Severe weather likely for the Midwest to Southern Plains. April Fool's Day, no joke intended, is shaping up to be a potentially significant severe weather day somewhere from the Midwest into the Southern Plains. The Storm Prediction Center's own extended guidance is already flagging it. And then right behind that, a second system, a 997 millibar low tracking further south by midweek of April. This one brings a possible winter weather component to the north and a severe weather threat on the warm southern side. 2 to 4 storm systems in the first 7 days of April. Any one of them individually could produce significant tornadoes, large hail, and destructive winds across a wide area. This is not a maybe. The pattern is already locked in. Here's why April is so dangerous compared to March. April is historically the most active severe weather month in the entire United States. More tornadoes are reported in April than any other month, period. Not May, April. And we are heading into April already behind the 8 ball. The atmosphere has been running hot and loaded for weeks. Gulf moisture is deeper, the pattern is more established. Storm systems in April will drop into a more primed environment than today's did. The Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook is already leaning toward above average rainfall for the Great Lakes and upper Midwest region through the first week of April. That is not a vague forecast. That is the official call. The Storm Prediction Center's own extended guidance says plainly, thunderstorm chances will steadily increase through midweek of April as southwesterly flow becomes increasingly dominant and deep Gulf moisture surges back north. They see it. It's confirmed. Now, one thing that's getting almost no coverage right now is what's happening in the southeast while everyone is watching the Midwest storm threat. Red flag fire weather warnings have been issued for South Carolina and parts of Georgia. In late March, red flag warnings in the southeast. Abnormally dry air, gusty winds, low humidity. The exact combination that can turn a small spark into a fast-moving wildfire before anyone has time to react. If you're in the Carolinas or Georgia right now, be careful with anything that could start a fire this week. Debris burning, yard work with power equipment, even parking on dry grass, all of it carries real risk right now. And here's the connection most people don't realize. The southeast dryness and the Midwest severe weather are products of the exact same atmospheric pattern. A ridge locked over the southeast keeps it bone dry while fueling storms to the north. Same pattern, different threats, opposite ends of the country. That is what makes this stretch so unusual. It's not one region dealing with one problem. It's the entire country dealing with several serious problems simultaneously. Let's talk practical, because knowing the forecast matters less than knowing what to actually do about it. 5 things. That's it. 5 things that genuinely matter before the next storm shows up, whether that's today or April 1st. 1. Know your local warning system code. Does your county run outdoor sirens? When do they test them? If you don't know, find out today. Download a Noye-based weather alert app. It can wake you from a dead sleep. 2. Put together a simple go bag for your shelter spot. Flashlight, phone charger, few bottles of water, first aid kit. Write your important phone numbers on a piece of actual paper, because if your phone dies during a storm, that list is what you need. 3. Bring your pets inside before storms arrive. Know which room keeps them safest. A frightened dog or cat loose in the house during a tornado warning is a real problem that you don't want to deal with. 4. Have one simple conversation with your kids today. Not scary, matter of fact. If we hear the siren, we go to this room. We sit here. We don't move until mom or dad says so. Kids who know the plan stay calmer. 5. Keep a week's worth of prescription medications on hand. When severe storms hit, roads flood, pharmacies lose power, and supply lines slow down fast. 7 days of meds is the one prep item that people always wish they'd done. The thing about a stretch like this, and I've watched enough of these to know this is true, the people who get hurt are almost never the ones who didn't know the storm was coming. They knew. They saw the warnings. They just thought it wouldn't be that bad. That gap between knowing and acting is where the damage happens. Today is bad. April 1st is potentially worse. The week of April 7th could be worse still. Don't let storm fatigue close that gap for you. Each storm is its own event. Each one has its own timing, its own threats, its own cities in the crosshairs. Last week's storm hitting hard does not make this week's storm lighter. The atmosphere doesn't give you a discount because you already went through it. So here is the full timeline, clean and straight. Today, severe weather outbreak 3 p.m. onward. Hail, wind, tornadoes across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes corridor. Serious stuff done by midnight tonight. Friday, lingering storms push east. Low end severe risk for the Carolinas. Saturday and Sunday, quiet, cool, genuinely beautiful. Enjoy it. Monday and Tuesday, March 31st to April 1st, storm train restarts. 998 millibar low across the Dakotas. Severe weather likely. April 2nd, second system. 997 millibar low tracking further south. Winter weather possible to the north. Severe weather to the south. The rest of the first week of April. More systems lining up behind those. 2 to 4 total in 7 days. That's the forecast. That's the reality. The storm train is running on schedule. Baseball hail this afternoon. April 1st outbreak next week. The atmosphere is not done with us, not by a long shot. Charge the phone. Know the shelter. Make the call. Baseball-size hail. 75 mile per hour winds. A 998 millibar low already forming for April 1st. 2 to 4 storms in 7 days. Red flag warnings in the southeast. This is the most active weather stretch of the season, and it is just getting started. Let's back up for a second and talk about something the hour-by-hour timing doesn't fully capture. What it is actually like to be in the path when the second major storm hits a community still reeling from the first. Think about it this way. You live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. 2 weeks ago, a severe storm came through. You filed the insurance claim. You got the tarp on the roof. You haven't had a single dry week to actually fix it yet. And now, at 4 p.m. today, another supercell's rolling through with baseball-sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds headed straight at your neighborhood. A compromised roof does not hold up to a second round. It just doesn't. If that's your situation, get out of those rooms under the damaged roof. Get to the lowest floor. Get to the interior. Your shelter plan today has to account for the fact that your home may not be as strong as it was 2 weeks ago. Now, the question I get most during a stretch like this is some version of, when does it end? When does the weather calm down and go back to normal? Honest answer? Not for a while. And here is specifically why. The atmospheric pattern driving all of this is what forecasters call a persistent trough ridge setup. A trough, cold, stormy air, locked over the west coast. A ridge, warm, moist air, pumping north through the center of the country. Every time a storm system drops down the base of that western trough, it shoots across the middle of the country right into that warm, moist, unstable air. Cold air collides with Gulf moisture. That collision is severe weather. Every time. The pattern usually takes a meaningful shift after 3 to 4 weeks once it gets locked in like this. We have already been in it for 2 weeks. So you're looking at another 2 to 3 weeks of active weather minimum. That does not mean every day is a tornado outbreak. It means the background conditions keep favoring storm systems that have the ingredients to produce severe weather, and some of those will fire and some won't, and you won't know until they do. Which is exactly why you can't just prep once and call it done. Today's prep is for today. This weekend's quiet days are your window to re-prep for next week. And next week's calmer days, if there are any, are your window for the week after. Think of it less like prepping for a single storm and more like switching your whole household into a seasonal mode of readiness. Alerts on, shelter plan known, go bag stocked, medications current. That's the mode. There's one more thing worth saying out loud, because it's the thing that tends to slip through the cracks during fast-moving active weather seasons when everyone is focused on the immediate threat. Seniors living alone are the most at-risk group in every single one of these events. Not because the storm discriminates, because they're less likely to have someone checking on them, less likely to hear alerts, and less likely to move to shelter fast enough on their own. If you know someone in that situation, a parent, a neighbor, someone from church, the most valuable thing you can do during an active weather season is not a weather app, it's a phone call, or better yet, a knock on the door. Build that into your routine through April. Morning check-in, evening check-in. Make sure they know where their shelter spot is. Make sure they have a flashlight and know how to use a weather radio. And if they're on blood pressure medication, diuretics, or certain antihistamines, mention to them that those drugs can affect how well the body handles heat stress during the warm pre-storm hours. Worth a conversation with their doctor. All right, let's talk about the Southeast fire situation one more time because it deserves more than one mention. South Carolina issued red flag fire warnings this week, in March, with temperatures already running above normal. The combination of dry air, gusty winds, and low humidity means any fire that starts out there can spread faster than a fire truck can get to it. It's not a hypothetical. It's the exact setup that precedes fast-moving wildfires. If you're in South Carolina, Georgia, or eastern North Carolina, no outdoor burning this week. None. Even a small burn pile in your backyard can get out of hand before you realize what's happening. Now, the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies. They have their own thing going on right now with a separate storm system bringing heavy rain to Seattle and some snow mix across Spokane and the higher elevations. That Pacific system is not a spectator in what happens next. The moisture it's pumping inland right now is part of what feeds the April storm systems coming down the Rockies. Everything connects. The weather doesn't happen in separate boxes. Alaska remains fully locked in winter. Anchorage at 24 degrees, Fairbanks at 7 degrees, dropping to 12 below overnight. Meanwhile, Phoenix and Las Vegas are still running 20 to 30 degrees above average. Same country, same week. That extreme temperature contrast, that's the engine.
The bigger the temperature difference between cold and warm air masses, the more violently the atmosphere tries to equalize. Severe weather is literally the atmosphere trying to balance itself out.
And right now, that contrast is as sharp as it gets for late March. Cold air still locked up in Canada and Alaska. Record warmth still baking the Southwest and Southern Plains. The collision zone, the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, that's where you live if you're watching this. When that contrast finally starts to even out, usually by mid to late May, that's when the severe weather season starts to wind down. We are not there yet. We are right in the middle of the most dangerous stretch of the year. So here it is one more time. Clean, straight, no fluff. Today, Thursday, supercells fire 3 p.m. Baseball hail, 70-plus mile-per-hour winds. Tornadoes possible through 9 p.m. Threat winds down by midnight. Charge your phone now. Friday, cold front pushes east, lingering storms. Low-end severe risk for eastern Virginia and the Carolinas. Saturday and Sunday, quiet, cool, enjoy it. This is your prep window for what comes next. Monday, March 31st, storm train restarts. 998 millibar low across the Dakotas. Severe weather for the Midwest and Plains. April 1st, potentially significant outbreak day. April 2nd, second system, 997 low, severe weather south, possible winter weather north. April 3rd through 7th, more systems lining up behind those. The Climate Prediction Center is already leaning toward above average precipitation for the Great Lakes and upper Midwest through the entire first week of April. 2 to 4 storms in 7 days. The storm train is not a metaphor. It is a literal succession of low-pressure systems dropping off the same western trough, crossing the same warm air mass, targeting the same corridor. Again and again. You don't beat the storm train by outrunning it. You beat it by being ready when it gets there, knowing your shelter, having your alerts on, checking on the people around you before it arrives and after it passes. That's the job for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Not panic, not obsession, just steady awareness and straightforward preparation. One storm at a time, starting with the one that's coming this afternoon. Baseball-size hail, 75-mile-per-hour winds, tornadoes, today. A 998 millibar April 1st outbreak already forming. 2 to 4 more systems in the first 7 days of April. Red flag fire warnings in the southeast. All at once. All right now. This is the storm train, folks. It left the station this afternoon and it is running on time through April. Charge the phone, know the shelter, make the call, and look out for the people around you because that's what gets everybody through this.